What's up, guys? Every single time I tell someone that I'm vegan, I get asked, but where do you get your protein from? So, this is what I want to talk about right now on my top 5 favorite sources to get protein. First of all, I'm not a proteinaholic. I used to be a proteinaholic and then consume a lot of, protein powders and processed proteins, just protein bars and a lot of that. But I haven't done that in a very long time. The maximum I go in terms of my protein content is like 30%, which is only a few weeks out when I'm competing. But otherwise, I do not consume too much protein. 30% of my total calories is like the maximum. On an average, I think I don't take more than 15-20% protein. What you need to understand is your muscles are made up of carbs and proteins. So basically, you don't gain muscle mass by only consuming a lot of proteins. It's carbs and proteins, a good ratio of carbs and proteins. And what kind of carbs to eat, that's going to be a separate video. Because the moment I tell people I'm on a high carb diet, they just start assuming that you can eat like any form of carbs and like sugary carbs and starchy carbs. No, you still have a lot of restrictions in terms of what kind of carbs to eat. But getting back to proteins, here are my top favorite 5 sources of proteins which you all didn't think about. And no protein powders, no processed protein, no tofu, none of these. Although these are like exceptionally good sources of proteins, I'm not going to show you any of these. So these are top 5 sources. Here we go. Let's start. Number 1, spirulina. Spirulina powder. Per gram of spirulina powder is probably the highest amount of protein content in anything available if you compare on a per gram basis. Higher than red meat, higher than poultry, higher than anything, egg whites, anything. Spirulina has more protein per gram than any other food on planet Earth. It's probably the healthiest food. I read this somewhere on planet Earth. So spirulina is basically like a algae. It's green-ish powder. If you look at it, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, and it also has a lot of micronutrients, a lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals, and it's exceptionally good for you. In fact, it's so good for you that anything consumed over 1 tablespoon per day, which is about 7 to 8 grams, could cause an overdose of multivitamins in your body. So you should not be consuming more than 1 tablespoon a day. Anyways, 1 tablespoon, which is 7 grams of spirulina, has 4 grams of protein, which is really high if you look at per gram basis. Just a tablespoon has 4 grams of protein. It has absolutely no fat, or like 0.5%, 0.5 grams of fat, and about 1.7 grams of carbohydrates. So if you look at a protein carb ratio, it is exceptionally good. I have this in the morning post breakfast on most days, not necessarily on a daily basis because it tastes like disgusting, but just mix it with water or have it in your smoothie and it should be fine. So spirulina is like my top favorite, absolute go-to protein. On days when I feel that I haven't got enough protein and just need that 4 or 5 grams extra, then I'll just add in spirulina. My second favorite source is quinoa. I have no idea why people are so resistant in terms of trying quinoa. Quinoa is a very good source of protein. Apart from protein, quinoa has your folic acids, your magnesium, your iron, a lot of microvitamins, a lot of minerals, a lot of things which are really good for you. It's also very low GI in terms of carbohydrate content, meaning it does not release blood glucose in the level very fast when you eat it. So it is very good if you're looking for weight management. So yeah, quinoa. All colors of quinoa are really good. I try and mix up because all of them have a slightly different micronutrient content. So try and mix up your quinoa sources like red, black. This one's black quinoa which I'm using. A cup of quinoa has close to 10 grams of proteins, which is amazing. I love making quinoa salads. Quinoa and pineapple salad tastes amazing, guys, by the way. Just cook quinoa, let it cool down and mix in whatever you want for salads. I love adding in pineapples and parsley and anything which is fresh and seasonal. A cup has 10 grams of protein, which is amazing, which is so good. Number 3 is azuki beans. Azuki beans, or you could use in kidney beans, chickpeas, any kind of beans, black beans. Azuki beans are my favorite because they are easy to digest for me. 100 grams of azuki beans, which is about just a little over a cup, about 1 cup, has about 20 grams of protein. That's like a scoop of your protein shake, close to a scoop of protein shake. 20 grams of protein, guys, in azuki beans. It is a very good source of protein. It also has a lot of carbs, but healthy carbs, good carbs, again low GI carbs. If you are not used to eating beans, start with 25 grams and then build your way up. I do not take anything more than 50 grams because if I make like a azuki bean and I add it in my, like, I'd make a vegan chili and add azuki beans, and then there's a lot of other greens also. But 50 grams of azuki beans, and then there's a lot of greens like broccoli and celery and parsley. All of that total adds up to 20 grams. I do not take in just 100 grams of azuki beans just like that directly. So yeah, a great source of protein. It is amazing. It tastes really good too. Azuki bean curries. I love making curries out of it. Salads, of course, and or oh, one of my favorite ways to have it also is like a tofu nice cream, where I take like a block of tofu, azuki beans, and cacao powder or protein powder if I want to on some days, and mix it all up. So it's like a nice cream and it blends really well. Beans are also easier to digest when blended instead of just eating it, cooked, because if you don't chew it well, then it could cause um, constipation. So azuki beans. My next favorite source of protein, let me check. Buckwheat. I don't know, a lot of people are again hesitant to try this. Buckwheat is awesome in terms of protein content. Now, buckwheat has a little bit more carbs than quinoa does, but it cooks so well. I love making buckwheat beetroot salad. I think the combination is amazing. You guys should try it. Again, this is gluten free for those with gluten sensitivity. Wheat, by the way, which is high in gluten. Gluten is also a form of amino acid proteins. Wheat has very good amount of protein. So unless you're gluten sensitive, then wheat is a good source of protein also. But for those who are gluten sensitive, quinoa is an alternative option, and buckwheat is a very good option. About 100 grams of buckwheat has about 13 to 14 grams of protein, if I'm not wrong, which is also again very very high amount of protein. If you do not want to have buckwheat just directly, then make it into a flour, and buckwheat flatbreads or buckwheat rotis taste very good too. It has a very nice nutty flavor. Or just cook them and add them to like a beetroot salad or something like that. So buckwheat is a good source of protein. Another good source of protein, of course, is the soybeans. Just the regular soybeans, not, I mean, tofu, tepe, all of that is of course really good, but it's more processed. So I stick to soybeans as much as I can. The only problem and the difference between having tofu and regular soybeans are beans itself are very high in fat content. So if I look at like 100 grams of soybean, it has about 36 grams of protein, which is very high, very high amount of protein, but it also has 30 grams of fat. So unless you're on a vegan high fat high protein diet, I would suggest just have tofu instead, which is processed form of soybeans, minus the fat. It doesn't have so much fat. 100 grams of tofu might have like 3 grams of fat, versus 100 grams of soybeans will have like 30 odd grams of fat. So soybean is a very good source. It's easily available too, guys. Edamame is not easily available in India, especially where I live. So I prefer soybeans versus edamame, but if not, just going for edamame. It has very less fat content, very high protein content, and edamame is just the raw soybeans, and then when they mature, they just turn into these soybeans. So it's pretty much the same thing. Apart from this, there's lentils. I did not have lentils to show you, but I eat a lot of red lentils. About a cup of red lentils has about just 50 calories, and I want to say about 5 to 6 grams of protein, which is very low calorie, high protein. 50 grams of red lentils, I think, has about 56 calories, 57 calories, and about 5 to 6 grams of protein. So if you're looking for something which is low calorie and high in protein, then lentils are very go-to option. It's also going to keep you full for a very long time. So I love adding like a lentil curry. Anything which breathes, you should remember, is protein. So rice is protein. So lentil curry and rice is a good combination around lunchtime, especially if your workout is around then, because it's going to keep you fuller for longer. The white rice is going to give you the fast sugar which you need post workout, and the lentils are going to give you the slow releasing kind of GI, which is going to sustain you for much longer. You get your protein, you get your carbs, you get your fat, you get all of it. So that's a very good combination to have in general. There's a lot of other sources. Greens, broccoli is amazing in terms of protein content. Spinach is so high in terms of protein content. I think about 100 grams of spinach, which is about 1 cup, should have about, I'm going to say, 4 to 5 grams of protein. So these things individually don't matter, but if you're mixing it all up together, like a lentil and spinach curry with rice, that itself, one bowl should have about 20-22 grams of protein all mixed together. So think about it like that individually and then adding components. Oh, I recently came across PV2. PV2, I love this. I love this so much. This thing, 2 tablespoons, which is about 12 grams, has 4 grams of protein, 6 grams of carbs, which only 3 grams of sugar, and very little fat, like 1 gram of fat. This is just powdered peanut butter, which has 85% less fat than the peanut butter. But of course, you can have your regular, nut butters. Nut butters are very high in terms of protein, but nut butters also have a lot of fat. So if you're trying to cut down on fat, then this is a good option and it tastes so nice. If you mix it with butter, it just tastes like peanut butter. Actually, better than peanut butter. So things like that, guys. You do not have to worry about your protein content on a vegan diet, absolutely at all. 15 to 20% is really all the body needs. Your body does not need anything more than that, so do not go all protein crazy. In fact, protein toxicity coming in from consuming too much protein is more of a concern. So if you feel that you're low on protein, then try and add all these 5 things which I told you to your diet, which are easy to add, and otherwise you should not really be even concerned. Your regular food should have more than 15%, 20% of protein, which you need. Or if you're lifting really heavy and you want to gain muscle mass, then maybe just go up to 30% max. You do not need any more protein more than that, guys. I hope this video really helped you in terms of choosing your protein sources. I will do a video sometime in terms of mixing up protein sources, which combination of protein sources is really, really good when on a vegan diet, and should you be concerned or not. Also, if you want to sign up for my New Year challenge and work with me towards losing weight, my New Year challenge starts from 11th of Jan and goes on for 6 weeks, where I'll be customizing your workout chart and diet chart for you and working with you, motivating you through the 6 weeks to lose weight. The link is down in the description. Have a look at that, and cheers, guys. Have a good day. Also forgot to mention, subscribe to my channel to keep seeing videos from me, and like, comment, share. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see so I can help you in terms of getting your health better. Cheers, guys. Have a good day. Bye.